Ladies and gentlemen, I am really, really pleased and very, very chuffed to have on the phone Suzi Quatro. Suzi, how are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Hard at work in the studio, and it's one of those days. But good, I'm good. I'm using the lockdown to its best advantage.
And that's the most important thing. Now, I want to talk to you about the new album, No Control. But do you mind if we talk a little bit about how you started off in rock and roll?
Yeah, that's a huge question. I came from a musical family. I was born and raised in Detroit. Started playing music at the age of 7, bongo drums. I then went to piano for a long time. Then I went to percussion in the school orchestra. And then at 14, I started the band with my sisters and a couple of other friends, and I picked up bass guitar. That was at the age of 14, and I went straight on the road. And then in 1971, I got discovered by Mickey Most. I came to England, went solo, got a boy band, and then in 1973, I had my first number one. That's my basic potted history.
I know, I got a much longer version in front of me. Is it true that the whole look, the Suzi Quatro look, came from you? It wasn't something that was designed for you. You said, no, this is how I'm going to be.
No, nothing ever in my entire life has ever been manufactured or designed or forced on me, or that's just not who I am. That's why I'm still around, because I'm kind of, for want of a better word, a one-off. I stuck religiously to myself. I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted to look like. I knew how I wanted to move. I knew how I wanted to sing. And I'm still kind of doing the same thing now, 56 years later. So that shows you that whatever this is real.
I didn't realize you toured with Thin Lizzy and Slade.
Well, that was my first. Mickey brought me over in 71, and we started to record and stuff, and nothing really took shape. It just wasn't. Mickey didn't know how to record me. I was writing all the time. It just wasn't going anywhere. And I finally formed a band here in the UK, which was the big change, and then everything started to make sense. We were doing all my own songs and blah, 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 blah. And then Mickey, as he saw the band coming together, he asked Chaz Chandler, who was managing Slade, who was the original bass player of The Animals.
Yeah.
He asked him to do him a favor, because I didn't have success yet, and put me on the tour. So I was the opening act with no success yet, and I had 20 minutes at the beginning of the show, then Thin Lizzy, and then Slade. And after that, we got together with Chin and Chapman, and the rest is history.
When you recorded those fabulous tracks, I don't care what anybody says, they were great, and they still are. Things like 48 Crashed, Evergate Drive,
They're great, yeah.
Brilliant songs, good old rock and roll. Did you have any idea of how huge they would actually be around the world?
Well, I think if you're an artist and you are striving to do what you do and make as many people hear you and you believe in yourself, then no, how can you be surprised? Everybody asks that question. I knew that Can the Can would be a number one as we were recording it. You could feel it. You had the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Yes.
So all I can say is, and it's nothing to do with ego, but I felt it was coming, and it came, and then I was happy that my work paid off, and my belief paid off, and me sticking to me paid off. So, yeah, absolutely. I still can't believe it now, 56 years later.
And the character of Leather Tuscadero on Happy Days.
Yes.
That was written for you, wasn't it? It should have been.
No, well, it wasn't written for me, absolutely not, but this is the synergy of the world. They had that script for a long time. They knew that Pinky Tuscadero, who played my older sister, was going to be leaving, contractual problems. They liked the Tuscadero thing, so they came up with this Leather Tuscadero character, and they couldn't find it. I think they had that script for a couple of years. They couldn't find what they needed. They needed somebody who was tough and vulnerable and maybe could sing and connect. And they looked and looked and looked, and they couldn't find what they were looking for. And then the casting director's daughter used to have a collage of Rolling Stone covers in her bedroom. And she walked into her daughter's bedroom, and she looked at my cover of Rolling Stone. She said, "That's who we're looking for. Who's that?" She said, "Suzi Quatro." Isn't that strange how it works out? So I then flew over to audition, and I got the part. And although there are elements of me in it, believe me, it was an acting role,
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely. I mean, that together with some of the other acting roles you've done on TV and, of course, on stage as well. Do you enjoy the acting side of things?
Yeah, I've done a lot. Oh, God, yeah. I'm an artiste. And if you see the documentary Suzi Quatro, which is going ballistic everywhere, you will see how many things I have done. And the truth is I don't like to be boxed in. I love acting. I love songwriting. I love radio presenting. I like TV presenting. Everything that the entertainment profession allows me, I like to do. So I love acting. Sure, it's probably real close to my love for music. It's real close. I mean, if I have to pick, of course, I stick to my music because it's me from my toes to the top of my head. But acting is a real close second. You
mentioned there the video, Suzi Quatro, and I haven't seen it, but I'd love to because it sounds amazing. It's you. It is you. It is you. All in bones and all. There's nothing hidden or anything like that.
Oh my God, no! In fact, that's. In all honesty, my whole thrust of making that documentary, first because I wanted to put the record straight. I always wanted to put the record straight. I have a story to tell. I was the first one. Nobody else can tell that story but me. And I insisted with the director, the ground rules was that it be the truth. And I said, even I said it right at the beginning, even if I'm uncomfortable with some of the stuff, if it belongs in there, it belongs in there, and I'm okay. I won't allow any lies in there, but truth is truth. And this is what everybody is loving about the documentary, that it is warts and all, and you get the real person.
And that's what's so fascinating about these type of documentaries, that they are, well, they call them rockumentaries, don't they? Because they are about a rock star, a rock act, but you get to really know that person. Was it difficult doing it, laying all this open to people? It's
like I said, I insisted on honesty. It was really strange to watch it, not at home in my TV show, and on my TV and, editing it there and telling them what I like and what I don't. But when I actually went to the first premiere in London, and I saw it with an audience, there's the test, and you don't know how it's going to be received. You don't know where the reactions are. You can guess, but you don't know until you're with that audience. So it was quite something,
Yeah.
There were parts when I wanted to crawl out, and I thought, no, stay. And those are the most valuable parts in the film. There was crying, there was laughter, there was applause. It was amazing to see my life on that screen. It still is. And now I'm making a movie of my life.
Really? Oh, now that will be fantastic.
It will be, and that's what the interest from this documentary has led to now a movie. So, I mean, nobody else, the truth is nobody else can tell this story because I was the first one. So who else are you going to get this story from?
Well, exactly. Yeah, you are the article. That's it.
Yeah, but I was the first, so you can't rewrite history and pretend it's somebody else. I was the first one.
Yeah.
And so, like I always said, this is why it's always been on my bucket list. If you want to do this story, here I am.
We got to talk about the album, No Control.
Yeah.
Sensational album with some really, really brilliant tracks. What's the one we've been playing? No Soul, which I think is...
No Soul, No Control.
That's the one. That's excellent, isn't it? I played it today, and a couple of people came on and were sort of saying, is that really Suzi Quatro? Yes, it is. People just don't expect it, do they?
Well, I mean, I think the album, all the critics have said the album sounds exactly like me, but what has happened on this album is that my son, who really, really has wanted to work with me for many, many years, and we finally started to work together, and he has obviously grown up with me, so he had a vision in his head of who I am and what I am, and he pushed my Suzi Quatro buttons, and we got a brilliant album. I've never had, in my entire long career, the rave reviews I've had for this album. The critics have been dissecting the songs, quoting my lyrics back to me. It's just been amazing. In fact, right now, we're now in the studio again making the next album because the option was taken up by the company. So we're nearly done, ready to go into the studio now with, how many songs did we write? 12 songs during lockdown for this album, this next one. But I am so proud of No Control. I couldn't be more proud.
Tell me something. When you go into the studio, and maybe you're going to record something like No Soul or Bassline, which is another one which I think is brilliant.
I love that one, yeah.
Oh, it's awesome in there. Do you already know how that is going to sound, or do you find it develops when you're in the studio?
Oh God, that is a difficult question. Creativity is a very, very strange animal. You can't take anything for granted, you know. But you do have the blueprint in your mind of how the song's going to be. And you know the good ones. You know the good ones just fly out before you even know it. Your pen is trying to write the words quick enough. I always say songwriting is like dictation. You just listen, open your channels, and you take it down. But this album was just full of inspiration. The bass line in particular. I mean, oh my God! And I played the solo on it. And the other one is Strings, which, oh, geez, what a song!
Yeah,
what a song!
Yeah,
what a song! And my horn player, I gave him, because I've had horns for quite a few years, and I gave him 5 or 6 tracks. I said, here's the ones I want you to do a horn arrangement on. This is a funny story just before we go. I said, here's the songs I want you to play on. And then I said, oh, listen to this. I said, you'll love this one. And I played him Strings.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell him I wanted him to play on it. I played him the track. And he said, Suzi. I said, yeah. He said, do you mind if I do an arrangement on this? I said, on this one? I didn't hear it at all. Usually I'm great. You know, I know what fits on what. This one, he said, yeah. I said, are you kidding me? And he said, no. He said, I'll tell you what, you're not sure. Let me do the arrangement, and if you don't like it, you don't pay me. And I went, oh.
Well, that's a deal.
Oh, no, there's a man who's sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we got to the studio, and he played his arrangement. I didn't think the song could be improved, and I went, oh, my God. And all the reviewers have said, oh, the horns on this track. Well, okay, you can chalk one up to yourself. I didn't hear that. I did not hear what he did.
Fantastic. Fantastic, isn't it?
I love creation. I just love creation. In fact, just 2 days ago, my lyric book came out, my illustrated lyric book. It's a coffee table book, because I've already had a poetry book called Through My Eyes. And during lockdown, I did Through My Words, which is my lyric book. And that went straight to number 1 on the Amazon charts in Australia. And the documentary, by the way, is number 2 on the Amazon charts. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely amazing. But one thing I want to ask you, when you write, do you write with the bass guitar? Do you use the piano or an ordinary guitar?
And again, that's an unanswerable question because every song is different. But I do kind of have a system-ish. For some God knows reason, I do talk poetically, and I'm always saying quotable lines. If I'm with another artist, they go, ooh, and they write it down. This happens to me all the time. Very often I work in titles. I just say a title. I go, oh, that's a title. And then the song forms from that title, you know? So all my stuff is, I'm very lyric-minded, too. So I'm either going to write a poem or I'm going to write a song. But I sometimes write on bass, not that often, very often on piano, because I read and write classical piano. So that's my orchestra. And sometimes on the guitar. I'm not a very good guitar player because I never started on guitar. I was only a bass player. So it makes a difference. There's a lot of failed guitar players who take up bass. I'm not one of those. So
I am.
Consequently, since I started on bass, the guitar tends to feel like a little bit of a toy in my hands, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me something. I know you can't tour at the moment, although things are starting to loosen up a bit, so fingers crossed maybe you will be able to get back out on the road. Do you still get a kick from doing live gigs?
I can't wait to do live gigs again, I tell you. I don't, and I have to try to get my head around it that it might be a while, you know, and I'm 70 now, but it's what I do. You know, at the end of the day, it's what I do many, many times, and it doesn't matter what else I'm doing, writing, DJing, in the studio, whatever. When I go on stage, I often say to my husband, as I come off from the show, I said, now I feel like me. You know, when you've done it that long, I mean, it's in my DNA.
Mm. Yeah. Do you find you come alive when you're on stage with the band?
Oh, it's I am one of your very old school, old-fashioned performers. When I get out on that, first of all, just before you go out, every audience is a different animal. You can never take any audience for granted. Doesn't matter how good you are, you got to win them. It's your job to win them. And at the, when I see everybody and they go on the journey and they leave happy, I'm happy. It's my cycle complete. I am an entertainer in my heart and soul.
All right, look, Suzi, I know you're exhausted because you've been working so hard in the studio.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm glad we could do this, and I'm so sorry about yesterday, but...
Absolutely. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, no problem. Thank you so much.
For producing some brilliant music, and keep on doing it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, Suzi. Take care.